The underestimated species. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, where countless civilizations had risen and fallen, humanity was considered little more than a cosmic joke. The Galactic Council, a conglomerate of advanced alien races, had long ago categorized Earth as a backwater planet, home to a species barely worth acknowledging. Zixnara, the Arcturian representative to the Council, floated gracefully into the grand chamber. Her crystalline body refracted the light from 1,000 stars, casting a dazzling array of colors across the room. As she took her place among the other representatives, she couldn't help but chuckle at the latest report from the Sol system. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, her voice a melodious chime that echoed through the chamber, "I bring news from that quaint little blue planet we've been observing. It seems the humans have finally achieved faster-than-light travel." A ripple of amusement spread through the assembly. The Vulcan ambassador, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate metallic shell, pulsed with mirth. How charming! And how long did it take them? Merely a few thousand years since they first looked up at the stars. "Indeed," Zixnara replied, her crystalline form shimmering with amusement. "They're quite proud of themselves. They've even sent out a message to the stars, announcing their presence to the galaxy." The chamber erupted in laughter. The idea that humans, with their fragile bodies and limited lifespans, could be of any significance in the grand tapestry of the universe was absurd to these ancient and powerful beings. Grakthor, the draconian representative, unfurled his massive wings, silencing the chamber with a single gesture. "As amusing as this is," he rumbled, his voice like grinding boulders, "we must follow protocol. They've achieved FTL travel. We are obligated to make first contact and provide them with the standard welcoming package." A collective groan echoed through the chamber. Making contact with new species was always a tedious affair, filled with diplomatic niceties and explanations of galactic law. It was especially tiresome when dealing with a species as primitive as humans. "Very well," Zixnara sighed. "I nominate Sen-42 for this task. Its patience in dealing with lesser beings is unmatched." Sen-42, a hive-mind AI housed in a sleek, otherworldly construct, stepped forward. Its form shifted and changed, a dizzying display of advanced technology. "This unit accepts the task," it intoned, its voice a perfect blend of every language spoken in the galaxy. "We shall make contact with the humans and provide them with the standard communication devices and warnings." As Sen-42 prepared for its journey to Earth, the Council members couldn't help but speculate on how the humans would react to the revelation that they were not alone in the universe. "I wager they'll be overwhelmed," the Vulcan ambassador pulsed. Their tiny minds might not be able to comprehend the vastness of galactic civilization. Grakthor snorted, a puff of smoke escaping his nostrils. "They'll probably try to wage war on us. Primitive species always do." Zixnara chimed in, her voice tinkling with laughter. "Or perhaps they'll worship us as gods. Wouldn't that be amusing?" As the Council members placed their bets on humanity's reaction, none of them could have predicted the truth. They couldn't fathom that this seemingly insignificant species would one day shake the very foundations of their galactic order. Months later, Sen-42 returned from its mission to Earth. The Council gathered eagerly, curious to hear about the humans' reaction to first contact. "Report, Sen-42," Zixnara commanded. "How did the humans respond to our revelation?" Sen-42's form flickered, displaying a montage of its interactions with Earth's leaders. "The humans reacted with unexpected calm," it stated. "They accepted the communication devices and listened to our warnings about interfering with other races. Their response was, and I quote, 'Cool, thanks for the tech. We'll be sure not to bother anyone.'" The Council chamber fell silent, a rarity in the usually boisterous assembly. Grakthor broke the silence, his scales rustling with confusion. "That's it? No attempts at war? No worship?" "Negative," Sen-42 confirmed. "They simply thanked us and went about their business." The Vulcan ambassador pulsed rapidly, a sign of agitation. This is most unusual. Perhaps they didn't understand the significance of our contact. Zixnaro waved a crystalline appendage dismissively. Or perhaps they're simply too primitive to grasp the magnitude of the situation. No matter. They've been given the standard package and warnings. Our duty is done. With that, the Council moved on to other matters, relegating humanity to the back of their collective minds. They had no way of knowing that this dismissal would be their greatest mistake. As the years passed, reports of human activity trickled in sporadically. They had begun to colonize their own solar system, a development that was met with mild amusement by the Council. After all, many species went through a phase of local expansion before settling into their designated place in the galactic hierarchy. What the Council failed to notice, however, was the speed and efficiency with which humans adapted the gifted technology. While other species might take centuries to fully integrate new advancements, humans were doing it in decades. On Earth and its newly established colonies, a silent revolution was taking place. The communication devices provided by the Council were quickly reverse-engineered, their principles applied to everything from medicine to manufacturing. The warnings about interfering with other races were taken seriously, but they also sparked a fierce determination to prove humanity's worth. In laboratories and workshops across the solar system, human scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. They knew they were playing catch-up with a universe full of advanced civilizations, but rather than being discouraged, they were invigorated by the challenge. Dr. Lydia Chen, head of the newly formed Galactic Integration Institute, addressed a room full of the brightest minds Earth had to offer. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her eyes gleaming with excitement, "we stand at the threshold of a new era. The universe has thrown down the gauntlet, and it's up to us to prove that humanity is more than just a cosmic joke." As the Council continued to ignore the activities of this primitive species, humanity was laying the groundwork for an expansion that would soon challenge the very foundations of galactic society. The universe's biggest joke was about to deliver a punchline that no one saw coming. The silent expansion. As the Galactic Council continued to dismiss humanity as a footnote in the vast narrative of space, the children of Earth were quietly rewriting their own story. The next century saw a revolution in human technology and expansion that went largely unnoticed by the self-absorbed alien civilizations. Dr. Lydia Chen, now in her late 70s, but with the vitality of someone half her age thanks to advancements in human medicine, stood before a holographic display of the Milky Way. Hundreds of points of light represented human colonies, spreading far beyond the Sol system. "We've come a long way," she mused of a protégé, Dr. Marcus Okafor. "And the best part? They still have no idea." Marcus nodded, his dark eyes reflecting the star map. The Council's warning about non-interference was the best thing that could have happened to us. We expanded quietly, avoiding contact with other races, focusing on uninhabited systems. Lydia smiled, a glint of mischief in her eyes. "And all the while, we've been learning, adapting, improving. Every piece of technology we reverse-engineered from that welcome package has been refined and enhanced." Their conversation was interrupted by a priority alert. Admiral Sarah Zhang, head of the United Earth Defense Force, appeared as a hologram in the center of the room. "Doctors," she greeted them, her expression grave. "We've detected something concerning. A fleet of unknown composition is moving through the Orion Arm, destroying everything in its path. It's not Council-affiliated." Marcus frowned. "Have they noticed us yet?" Sarah shook her head. "No, but at their current trajectory, they'll hit one of our outer colonies within a month. The Council races in that sector are already falling back, abandoning their worlds." Lydia's expression hardened. So much for their vaunted superiority. What do we know about this threat? "Not much," Sarah admitted. "We're calling them the Swarm. They seem to be some sort of biomechanical hive mind. Highly adaptable, incredibly aggressive. None of the Council's weapons have made a dent." Marcus looked at the approaching threat on the star map, his mind racing. "We need more information." Admiral, can we send in stealth probes? Sarah nodded. Already done. We're gathering data as we speak, but we need to make a decision soon. Do we reveal ourselves to the Council and offer aid, or do we remain hidden and focus on defending our own? The room fell silent as the weight of the decision pressed upon them. Humanity had thrived in the shadows, but now they faced a choice that would irrevocably change their place in the galaxy. Lydia took a deep breath. We defend our own first, but we also prepare to reveal ourselves. If this swarm is as adaptable as you say, the Council will need our help whether they know it or not. As the leaders of humanity debated their next move, the swarm continued its relentless advance. On a small council outpost near the path of destruction, a young Arcturian named Zixlara, granddaughter of Zixnara, frantically tried to coordinate evacuations. Please, she begged the holographic representation of the council, her crystalline form flickering with distress. We need reinforcements. The outer colonies are already lost. The Vulcan ambassador pulsed slowly, a sign of resignation. I'm sorry, young one, but the swarm adapts too quickly. We've already lost too many ships, too many lives. We must fall back and regroup. Zixlara couldn't believe what she was hearing. You're abandoning us. But what about all the civilians who can't escape in time? The connection cut off abruptly, leaving Zixlara alone with the weight of impending doom. As she turned to face the panicked crowds, a strange ship suddenly appeared in orbit. It was like nothing she had ever seen before, its design an elegant fusion of organic curves and advanced technology. A voice crackled over the communication systems, speaking in perfect Arcturian. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth ship Horizon. We're here to help with evacuations. Please direct your people to the designated coordinates for emergency teleportation. Zixlara stood in shock for a moment before springing into action. As she coordinated with the human ship, she couldn't help but wonder, where had these people come from, and why were they helping when the Council had abandoned them? Back on Earth, in the depths of a secret facility beneath the Mariana Trench, a team of scientists and engineers worked feverishly on humanity's answer to the swarm. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, head of the Adaptive Defense Division, watched as his creation took shape. The multi-phase adaptive defense array, he explained to a group of military officials. We call it MADA for short. It's designed to analyze the swarm's attacks in real time and generate countermeasures on the fly. General Li Wei of the Chinese Space Force leaned forward, intrigued. And you believe this can stop the swarm where the Council's weapons failed? Hiroshi nodded confidently. The Council's problem is that they rely too heavily on established technology. They haven't had to truly innovate in millennia. We, on the other hand, have turned adaptation into an art form. As humanity prepared for its greatest challenge, the swarm drew ever closer. In the space between stars, two titanic forces were about to collide, and the galaxy would never be the same. On the edge of human space, a small mining colony on a planetoid designated HG 2759 became the first point of contact. The swarm, a writhing mass of biomechanical horrors, descended upon the unsuspecting miners. But instead of the easy prey they had come to expect, they found something different. Sergeant Maria Rodriguez of the Colonial Defense Force stood her ground as the first wave of the swarm crashed against the colony's shields. All units, hold the line, she shouted over the comm. Remember your training. These buggers might be tough, but so are we. The battle that ensued would become legend, a David and Goliath story for the cosmic age. The miners, trained in the use of enhanced exosuits and adaptive weaponry, fought with a ferocity that caught the swarm off guard. For the first time in its relentless expansion, the hive mind experienced something new: uncertainty. As the conflict raged on HD 2759C, news spread rapidly through human space. Humanity's silent expansion was about to become very, very loud. The looming threat. The Battle of HD 2759 marked a turning point in galactic history. For the first time, the swarm's advance had been halted, if only temporarily. As news of the human victory spread, it sent shockwaves through both the swarm's hive mind and the Galactic Council. In the grand chamber of the council, chaos reigned. Zixnara, now a senior member, tried to maintain order as representatives from various races clamored for attention. "Silence," she commanded, her crystalline form pulsing with authority. "We must approach this rationally. Yes, the humans have surprised us all, but—" "Surprised us?" interrupted Grakthor, his scales bristling with indignation. "They've made fools of us. All this time, we thought them primitive, and yet they've managed to do what none of us could." The Vulcan ambassador's energy form flickered rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "We must consider the possibility that the humans have been deceiving us from the beginning. Perhaps they are in league with the swarm, and this victory is merely a ploy." Sen 42 stepped forward, its form shifting to capture everyone's attention. "Illogical. Our analysis of human communications and the battle footage from HD 2759 shows genuine conflict. The humans are not allied with the swarm." As the council debated, humanity was already mobilizing on an unprecedented scale. The United Earth government had declared a state of galactic emergency, and every human colony was on high alert. In orbit around Mars, the massive shipyards of the Ares Defense Complex hummed with activity. Fleet Admiral Jason Parks stood on the observation deck, watching as the latest additions to humanity's armada took shape. "Beautiful, aren't they?" he said to his second-in-command, Commodore Aisha Okonkwo. Aisha nodded, her eyes fixed on the sleek, predatory forms of the new warships, the Chimera-class battlecruisers. Adaptive hulls, MADA systems integrated into every subsystem. They're the most advanced ships we've ever built. Jason's expression turned grave. "And we'll need every one of them. The swarm isn't going to stop with one defeat. They'll adapt, come back stronger. We need to be ready." As humanity prepared for war, the swarm was undergoing its own transformation. The hive mind, for the first time in its long existence, experienced something akin to fear. It had encountered a prey species that fought back, that adapted as quickly as the swarm itself. This could not be tolerated. Deep in uncharted space, at the heart of the swarm's ever-moving nest of world ships, a new form began to take shape. The Swarm Queen, a being of terrifying intelligence and power, directed the creation of new warrior strains specifically designed to counter human tactics and technology. Back on Earth, in the sprawling underground complex of the Adaptive Defense Division, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka worked tirelessly to improve the MADA system. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing simulations of swarm attacks and MADA responses. Dr. Tanaka called out one of his assistants. "We're receiving new data from the outer colonies. The swarm, it's changing." Hiroshi frowned as he studied the incoming information. "Fascinating," he murmured. "They're not just adapting their tactics, they're physically evolving new forms to counter our defenses. We'll need to update the MADA algorithms immediately." As both sides raced to outmaneuver each other, the galaxy held its breath. The swarm's next target was clear: the human colony of New Eden, a lush garden world that had become a symbol of humanity's successful expansion. Governor Elena Martinez stood before the colony's assembled leadership, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her heart. "We've received word from Earth. The Chimera fleet won't reach us in time. We're on our own." A murmur of panic rippled through the room, but Elena raised her hand for silence. "But we are not defenseless. Every man, woman, and child on New Eden has trained for this day. We have our MADA systems, our adaptive shelters, and most importantly, we have each other. Humanity didn't come this far to falter now. We will stand, and we will fight." As New Eden prepared for the coming storm, a lone ship slipped through the void between stars. The Earth ship Horizon, under the command of Captain Elena Vasquez, had been on a covert mission deep in Council space when they received the distress call. Status report. Elena commanded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Her XO, a young lieutenant named Raj Patel, responded quickly. We're still 2 hours out from New Eden, Captain. The swarm fleet will beat us there by at least an hour. Elena's jaw clenched. Unacceptable. Divert all non-essential power to the engines. We're going to push this ship to its limits. As the Horizon raced towards New Eden, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were hurtling towards a pivotal moment in human history. The outcome of this battle would determine not just the fate of one colony, but potentially the course of the war itself. In the depths of space, the swarm approached New Eden, a vast armada of biomechanical horrors stretching as far as the eye could see. At its center, protected by layers of living ships, was the Swarm Queen herself. She had chosen to personally oversee the destruction of this human world, to study these strange creatures that dared to resist. As the first swarm ships entered New Eden's atmosphere, the planet's defenses roared to life. Adaptive energy shields shimmered into existence, while ground-based MADA arrays began analyzing and countering the swarm's attack patterns in real time. Governor Martinez, now clad in a command exosuit, coordinated the defense from a hardened bunker beneath the capital city. All sectors, report in, she ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding around her. Northern Hemisphere holding, but the swarm is probing for weaknesses, came one report. Southern defense grid at 80% capacity and falling, said another. As the battle raged, the colonists of New Eden fought with everything they had. Farmers became soldiers, wielding adaptive weapons against wave after wave of swarm drones. Children operated support systems, their young minds quickly grasping the ever-changing tactical situations. In orbit, the meager planetary defense fleet engaged in a desperate holding action. Outnumbered and outgunned, they nonetheless fought with a ferocity that gave even the swarm pause. Just as it seemed the defenses might buckle, a new signal appeared on the long-range scanners. The Horizon had arrived, and it brought with a message that would change everything. Captain Vasquez's voice crackled over the emergency channels. New Eden, this is the Horizon. Hold fast. The Chimera fleet has found a shortcut. Reinforcements are inbound, ETA 10 minutes. Humanity stands with you. Today, we show the galaxy what we're made of. As the tide of battle began to turn, the Swarm Queen watched with an alien emotion that might have been respect. These humans were unlike anything the swarm had encountered before. For the first time in eons, the outcome of a conflict was uncertain. The battle for New Eden would become the stuff of legend, a testament to human resilience and adaptability. But it was only the beginning. The war against the swarm had truly begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's stand. The Battle of New Eden had become a rallying cry across human space. What began as a desperate defense had transformed into a symbol of hope, not just for humanity, but for all races threatened by the swarm. As news of the victory spread, the galaxy's perception of humanity began to shift dramatically. In the aftermath of the battle, the Chimera fleet hung in orbit around New Eden, a protective wall of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. On the bridge of the flagship, the HSS Prometheus, Fleet Admiral Jason Park stood before a holographic display of the galaxy, studying the movements of both swarm and council forces. Status report, he commanded, his voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Commodore Aisha Okonkwo stepped forward, her dark eyes reflecting the star map. The swarm has fallen back to regroup, but our long-range scouts report increased activity in several sectors. They're adapting, sir, faster than we anticipated. Jason nodded grimly, and the council. Still in disarray, Aisha replied. Some races are calling for an alliance with us, while others want to retreat further and leave us to deal with the swarm alone. The Admiral's lips thinned into a hard line. Then we'll have to take matters into our own hands. prepare a diplomatic envoy. It's time we formally introduced ourselves to the galactic community. As humanity prepared to step onto the galactic stage, the swarm was undergoing a transformation of its own. In the depths of their hive ship, the Swarm Queen interfaced directly with the collective consciousness of her species. The battle for New Eden had revealed weaknesses in their strategy, flaws that needed to be corrected. New forms began to gestate in the biological forges of the swarm fleet. Warrior strains specifically designed to counter human tactics, infiltrator units capable of bypassing MADA defenses, and massive siege organisms that could crack even the toughest planetary shields. But even as the swarm evolved, so too did humanity's defenses. On Earth, in the subterranean labs of the Adaptive Defense Division, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka and his team worked tirelessly to stay one step ahead. The latest MADA updates are online, Hiroshi announced to the assembled military and scientific leadership. We've incorporated the data from New Eden, and the system is now capable of predicting swarm adaptations before they occur. General Li Wei leaned forward, her eyes sharp. And you're certain this will be enough? Hiroshi's expression was solemn. In war, there are no certainties, General, but I believe we've given our forces the best possible chance of success. As humanity fortified its positions and the swarm regrouped, the Galactic Council found itself facing an existential crisis. In the Grand Chamber, representatives from dozens of races argued bitterly of the best course of action. Zixnara, her crystalline form pulsing with frustration, attempted to bring order to the chaos. Esteemed colleagues, please, we must reach a consensus. The humans have proven themselves to be a formidable force. We cannot ignore their potential as allies against the swarm. Grak Thor, the draconian representative, snorted derisively. Allies? They've made fools of us all. How do we know they won't turn on us the moment the swarm is defeated? Before the argument could escalate further, a new voice cut through the din. Perhaps you should ask us directly. All eyes turned to the center of the chamber, where a holographic figure had appeared. Dr. Lydia Chen, now well into her second century of life, thanks to advanced human medical technology, stood tall and proud. Greetings, esteemed members of the Galactic Council. I am Dr. Lydia Chen, representative of the United Earth Government. We come before you not as conquerors or deceivers, but as fellow sentients facing a common threat. We offer our hand in friendship and our strength in alliance. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices, some outraged, others intrigued. But as Lydia began to outline humanity's proposals for a united front against the swarm, even the most skeptical council members found themselves listening intently. Meanwhile, on the fringes of known space, a lone human ship embarked on a mission that could change the course of the war. The HSS Odyssey, a state-of-the-art stealth vessel, slipped silently through the void, its destination a closely guarded secret. Captain Marcus Okafor, protege of Dr. Chen and one of Earth's most brilliant young officers, stood on the bridge, his dark eyes fixed on the vast emptiness ahead. Status of the void drive, he asked, his voice low and intense. His XO, Lieutenant Zara Patel, checked the readings before responding. All systems nominal, sir. We're ready to make the jump on your command. Marcus took a deep breath, acutely aware of the weight of their mission. The void drive, a revolutionary propulsion system that allowed travel through subspace, was humanity's greatest technological achievement. If successful, it would allow them to strike at the very heart of the swarm's territory. Engage, he ordered. The Odyssey shimmered and vanished, slipping between the fabric of space-time itself. Their destination, the suspected location of the swarm's primary hive cluster. As humanity made its bold moves on multiple fronts, the galaxy held its collective breath. The war against the swarm had entered a new phase, one that would test not just humanity's martial prowess, but their capacity for leadership, diplomacy, and moral courage. On New Eden, now a fortified stronghold and symbol of human resilience, Governor Elena Martinez addressed a crowd of colonists and newly arrived allies from various council races. "Today, we stand united," she declared, her voice ringing out across the assembled multitude. "Human, Arcturian, Draconian, Vorquin, our differences pale in comparison to the strength we find in our shared determination. The swarm thought us easy prey, but they will learn that the galaxy's supposed joke has a punchline they won't soon forget." A cheer went up from the crowd, a sound of defiance and hope that seemed to echo across the stars. The battle for the galaxy's future had begun in earnest, and humanity was determined to lead the charge. As the HSS Odyssey hurtled through the void towards its fateful confrontation with the swarm, as diplomats and warriors alike prepared for the struggles ahead, one thing became clear: the era of human obscurity was over. For better or worse, humanity had taken its place on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same. The turning point. The HSS Odyssey emerged from its void jump in a region of space never before seen by human eyes. Captain Marcus Okafor and his crew found themselves in the heart of swarm territory, surrounded by a vast, pulsating network of organic structures that defied conventional understanding. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Zara Patel, her eyes wide as she took in the sight on the main view screen. "It's like a living galaxy." Marcus nodded grimly. "And somewhere in that biomechanical nightmare is the key to ending this war. Tactical. What are we looking at?" The tactical officer, a young ensign named Chen Liu, consulted his readings. "Sir, the structures seem to be interconnected. Energy readings suggest a central hub about 2 AUs from our current position. It's massive, Captain. Easily the size of a small star system." "That has to be the primary hive cluster," Marcus mused. "Prepare to deploy the Trojan Protocol. Let's hope Dr. Tanaka's theories prove correct." As the Odyssey carefully maneuvered through the swarm's organic megastructures, the rest of humanity and their newfound allies prepared for the largest coordinated offensive in galactic history. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, now transformed into a war room, representatives from dozens of species gathered around a massive holographic display of known space. Dr. Lydia Chen stood at the center, her aged but sharp eyes taking in every detail. "The combined fleet is in position," she announced. "The Chimera-class ships will lead the charge, with Council forces providing support and covering our flanks. Remember, our goal is not just to push back the swarm, but to keep them occupied while the Odyssey completes its mission." Sixnara, who had become one of humanity's strongest advocates on the Council, chimed in. "And what are the concerns raised by some of our members?" "The Trojan Protocol. Some fear it could be as dangerous to us as it is to the swarm." Lydia's expression was solemn. "We understand the risks, but the Trojan Protocol is our best chance at ending this war decisively. Captain Okafor and his crew know what's at stake. They'll succeed." As the combined fleet engaged the swarm in a series of massive battles across multiple sectors, drawing their attention away from their core territories, the Odyssey reached its destination. Before them loomed the swarm's primary hive cluster, a writhing mass of biotech that pulsed with malevolent intelligence. "We're in position," Zara reported, "ready to deploy the Trojan Protocol on your command." Marcus took a deep breath, acutely aware that the fate of the galaxy might hinge on the next few moments. Deploy. A small, unassuming probe detached from the Odyssey, drifting towards the hive cluster. To the swarm's biosensors, it appeared to be nothing more than a piece of space debris. But within its innocuous shell lay humanity's greatest weapon, a virus. Not a biological virus, but a complex matrix of adaptive code designed to infiltrate and subvert the swarm's hive mind itself. As the probe made contact with the outer layers of the hive cluster, alarms blared on the Odyssey's bridge. "Multiple swarm ships on approach," Chen reported, his voice tense. "They've detected us." "Evasive maneuvers," Marcus ordered. "We need to buy the Trojan Protocol time to work." The Odyssey danced through space, its advanced stealth systems, and the skill of its crew allowing it to stay just ahead of the approaching swarm vessels. But with each passing moment, their situation grew more desperate. Back on the front lines, the combined Human Council fleet found itself locked in the largest space battle in galactic history. Chimera-class battlecruisers unleashed devastating barrages from their MADA-enhanced weapon systems, while sleek council ships darted between lumbering swarm bioships, striking with precision. Aboard the flagship HSS Prometheus, Fleet Admiral Jason Park watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and concern. "Status report," he commanded. Commodore Aisha Okonkwo's voice was tense but controlled. "We're holding the line, Admiral, but just barely. The swarm's numbers seem endless. We've lost contact with Beta and Gamma squadrons, and our allies in the fourth quadrant are reporting heavy losses." Jason's jaw clenched. "We have to hold. The Odyssey needs more time." As if in answer to his words, a sudden change rippled through the swarm forces. Their coordinated attacks began to falter, individual ships seeming to lose direction. "Sir," Aisha exclaimed, "the swarm, they're disorganized. It's like they've lost central control." A fierce grin spread across Jason's face. The Trojan Protocol. It worked. All ships, press the advantage. The tide has turned. In the depths of swarm space, aboard the Odyssey, Marcus and his crew watched in awe as the massive hive cluster before them began to convulse. Huge sections of biomatter twisted and writhed as if in pain. "It's working," Zara breathed. "The virus is spreading through their network." But their victory was far from assured. As the Trojan Protocol wound its way through the swarm's collective consciousness, the Swarm Queen herself stirred. For the first time in eons, she experienced something akin to fear. With a psychic scream that echoed across the stars, she began to fight back. On the Odyssey's bridge, Marcus clutched his head in sudden pain. "What's happening?" he gasped. Chen, fighting through his own discomfort, checked his readings. "Sir, the hive mind, it's evolving, adapting to the virus. If this continues, the Trojan Protocol will fail." Marcus straightened, his eyes blazing with determination. "Not if we have anything to say about it. Zara, prepare for emergency void jump. Chen, ready all weapons. We're going in." "In?" Zara asked, incredulous. "Into the hive cluster itself." Marcus nodded grimly. "The Trojan Protocol needs a direct connection to the core. We'll give it one. All hands, brace for impact." The Odyssey surged forward, its reinforced hull plowing into the outer layers of the hive cluster. As they penetrated deeper, the ship's systems began to interface directly with the swarm's biotech, creating a bridge for the Trojan Protocol. In that moment, as human ingenuity met the full might of the swarm's collective intelligence, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The universe's biggest joke had delivered its punchline, and now all that remained was to see who would have the last laugh. A new galactic order, the HSS Odyssey, embedded deep within the pulsating heart of the swarm's hive cluster, became the focal point of a battle that would reshape the galaxy. As Captain Marcus Okafor and his crew fought to maintain the connection between their ship and the swarm's bio-network, the Trojan Protocol waged a silent war in the realm of data and consciousness. On the bridge, alarms blared and systems flickered as the ship strained under the immense pressure. Hull integrity at 62% and falling, Lieutenant Zara Patel reported, her voice tense but steady. "We can't take much more of this, Captain." Marcus, his face illuminated by the eerie glow of the surrounding biomatter, nodded grimly. "We hold as long as we can." Chen, status of the Trojan Protocol. Ensign Chen Liu's fingers flew over his console as he analyzed the incoming data. It's working, sir, but the swarm is adapting faster than we anticipated. The Queen's consciousness is incredibly powerful. She's isolating infected nodes, sacrificing parts of the hive mind to save the whole. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Then we need to go deeper. Zara, divert all non-essential power to the void drive. We're going to pulse it, create a subspace bubble around the ship. If we can't beat the Queen in normal space, we'll take the fight to a realm she can't control. As the Odyssey enacted its desperate gambit, the battle raged across the galaxy. The combined Human Council fleet, energized by the sudden disarray in the Swarm's forces, pressed their advantage. Chimera-class battle cruisers unleashed devastating barrages, their MADA systems adapting in real time to counter the Swarm's increasingly erratic tactics. Aboard the HSS Prometheus, Fleet Admiral Jason Park watched the tactical display with a mixture of hope and concern. "Status of the Odyssey?" he asked, his voice tight with worry. Commodore Aisha Okonkwo shook her head. "Still no contact, sir. They're too deep in Swarm territory for our signals to penetrate. But look at this." She gestured to a section of the display where Swarm ships were behaving erratically, some even turning on each other. "Whatever they're doing in there, it's working." Jason allowed himself a small smile. "Then we give them every second we can. All ships, push forward. Let's bring this war to an end." In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, now a hive of activity as representatives coordinated their species' efforts in the war, Dr. Lydia Chen stood before the massive holographic display. Her aged eyes took in the ebb and flow of battle, a lifetime of scientific achievement culminating in this moment. Zixnara approached, her crystalline form shimmering with a mix of emotions. Dr. Chen, the council is impressed. Many who doubted humanity's capabilities are now singing your praises, but some are also afraid. The power you've demonstrated, this Trojan protocol, what assurance do we have that it won't be turned against us one day? Lydia turned to the Arcturian, her expression solemn. "The same assurance you have that we won't use our ships or weapons against you. Trust, Zixnara, the very thing we're fighting for. A galaxy where species can coexist, where we face threats together rather than hiding in our own corners of space. That's the future humanity envisions." Before Zixnara could respond, a sudden burst of activity on the display caught their attention. In the heart of Swarm space, something momentous was occurring. Deep within the hive cluster, the Odyssey pulsed with energy as it generated a subspace bubble, creating a pocket of reality where the laws of physics bent to human will. In this strange realm, Captain Marcus Okafor found his consciousness expanded, interfacing directly with the ship's systems, and through them, the Trojan protocol itself. And there, in a dimension beyond normal comprehension, he came face to face with the Swarm Queen. She was vast, a being of pure thought and will, ancient beyond measure. Her surprise at encountering a mere human in this realm was palpable. "You dare?" Her thoughts boomed across the subspace bubble. "You insignificant speck, you cannot hope to comprehend, let alone defeat me." Marcus stood his ground, bolstered by the combined will of his crew and the adaptive power of human technology. "We may be young," he projected, his thoughts amplified by the Odyssey's systems, "but we've learned to punch above our weight. You thought us prey, but failed to realize a fundamental truth about humanity." The Queen's consciousness roiled with anger and a growing hint of fear. "And what truth is that, little one?" "We never stop adapting. We never give up. And we're at our best when we work together." With that, Marcus opened his mind fully to the Trojan protocol, becoming a conduit for humanity's greatest achievement. The virus, empowered by human consciousness and will, surged forward, overwhelming the Queen's defenses. In normal space, the effect was immediate and dramatic. Swarm ships everywhere suddenly went dormant, their controlling intelligence abruptly severed. The massive hive cluster began to break apart, its cohesion lost. As the Queen's consciousness fractured and dissolved, her final thoughts echoed across the subspace bubble. How is this possible? You were nothing, a joke." Marcus, his own consciousness stretched to its limits, managed a small smile. The punchline just arrived. With a final surge of energy, the Trojan protocol completed its work. The Swarm, as a unified hostile force, ceased to exist. Countless biological ships and structures drifted aimlessly in space, their controlling intelligence gone. The Odyssey, its hull battered but intact, emerged from the collapsing Hive cluster. As Zara re-established communications with the fleet, the bridge erupted in cheers. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had led the galaxy to victory. In the months that followed, the galaxy entered a new era. The remnants of the swarm, now reduced to non-sapient biological constructs, were studied and in many cases repurposed for peaceful uses. The Galactic Council, humbled by the experience and impressed by humanity's leadership, underwent significant reforms. Dr. Lydia Chen, hailed as one of the architects of victory, addressed the newly formed Galactic Alliance, a more egalitarian successor to the old council. "Today, we stand at a crossroads," she began, her voice carrying the weight of history. "We have faced our greatest threat and emerged stronger, not just as individual species, but as a galactic community. The humans have a saying, 'United we stand, divided we fall.' Let this be the guiding principle of our new alliance." As representatives from hundreds of worlds applauded, Zixnara leaned towards Grakthor, a wry smile on her crystalline face. "To think we once considered them a joke." Grakthor rumbled with laughter. "Indeed, but it seems the joke was on us all along. And I, for one, am glad of it." In the years that followed, humanity's influence spread across the stars, not as conquerors, but as innovators, mediators, and friends. The adaptive spirit that had allowed them to defeat the swarm now drove them to new heights of scientific and cultural achievement, shared freely with their galactic neighbors. And if any new threat ever dared to emerge from the depths of space, they would find not a disjointed collection of isolated species, but a united galaxy led by the race that had once been its biggest joke. For in the face of adversity, humanity had proven that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is the ability to laugh in the face of impossible odds, adapt, and emerge stronger. The universe's biggest joke had delivered its punchline, and in doing so, had written a new chapter in the story of the cosmos.